What's up, friend? Hector here from StrongAsTech.com. So what we're going to be doing today is we're kicking off an entirely new series of videos and lessons for you. And this is going to be the Common Mistakes series. So over the course of the last decade, I've coached over 1,100 students in kettlebells. Several of those students went on to become kettlebell instructors. And what I noticed just a common theme and a lot of common mistakes that we've seen in the clean, the the swing, the get up, the clean, the press, the squat, the jerk, etc., right? We have a whole entire Technique of the Week series as well. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be covering just five common mistakes over the next series of kettlebell exercises. So we're going to cover everything from the clean all the way to the snatch, all right? So hopefully these will help you out, point you in the right direction. That way you can improve your technical skill. Why should that be important to you? The more technically sound that you are, the more efficient that you'll be, the stronger that you'll be, and heck, you'll prevent some injuries, because injuries interrupt consistency, and consistency is the mother of success, right? Right. All right. So today we're going to be kicking off 5 common mistakes you're making with the kettlebell swing and how to overcome those. All right, let's get started. All right, so we're going to be diving into the 5 common mistakes that you're making with the kettlebell swing. Many of these are going to be brand new for you. Many of these are going to sound very familiar. And many of these are going to overlap with previous videos and lessons that we've covered here on this channel. Okay, so there's going to be a common theme with a lot of these common mistakes videos in this series. And that is usually going to be the first mistake. And that is not making time for your setup. Okay, so there's several ways to set up. I'm not going to go into complete detail of like foot position, that kind of thing. Over my shoulder here, there will be a video to the Viking push press masterclass that I put together, where I kind of cover that in great detail. And I even cover that in even further detail in our course, Swing Strong, which will be in the description area if you want to check that out. So I'm not going to cover all the nuances of foot positioning, hip positioning, anything like that, because I've already covered that in a previous video. What I want to talk about is the setup right before the hike pass. Okay, so if we've already got our swing dialed in, right, we're already in the right position. Very common mistake is we set up with the bell, right? Let's say we're going to do one-handed swings, right? So one-handed swings, two-handed swings, the setup is different. And I'm going to show you one way that I used to set up for my one-handed swings, and I no longer do it that way, and I'll tell you why. So, right, two-handed swings, we set up, we're already familiar with that. But a lot of the times, common mistake is we set up in the same position for our one-handed swings. So as you can see here, as I hinge back and I place my hand on the bell, my shoulders are no longer aligned, okay? I'm kind of in this, twisted position. So I'm here. I used to set up this way, okay? Hand in the middle, then bring my free hand to kind of simulate as if I was going to do two-handed swings. Then I'd sit back, and I'd bring my hand up, and then I'd be ready to rock and roll. There's nothing wrong with that. Good position. But what I don't like is I feel like I'm forcing myself into a position, right? Kind of like forcing like a square peg into a round hole, right? I mean, you can do that, but it won't always turn out well, right? You'll end up destroying the square peg. So here's why that's important. If I set up like as if I'm going to do two-handed swings, for one, my shoulders are out of position. They're kind of facing this way. So now I'm disconnected here in my shoulder. Even if I were to try to connect my shoulder back, I'm still, right? If I'm here, even if I connect my shoulder and I stand up, I'm still kind of out of position. And so what we're going to focus on here is staying in our lanes, right? Think of a lane on a highway or freeway. You got one lane going this way and the other lane going this way, right? Kind of seesawing each other. Well, if one person goes into the other lane, obviously that's going to be devastating, right? So what we want to do is, if we're using single bell, what I like to do now is position the bell to the same side that I'm going to be swinging on. And a lot of this will carry over into your clean, into your snatch, anything that's going to involve that hike pass and then taking off, okay? So now what I do is I position the bell to the same side. So from here, now you can see I'm already in position. It doesn't require any like adjusting at the bottom. I don't have to worry about squaring my shoulders up. Once I set the bell to that side, I'm now on this lane. And two, what's going to happen is when I hike pass from there, the bell is going to connect to this hip, okay, versus in the middle. So if I set up in the middle and I hike pass, my arm kind of comes in here in the middle, and you can see how my shoulders are not aligned, okay? And now I have to kind of correct on the fly. I don't want to do that, not very efficient. So now what I've been doing and what I've been coaching in our students and what I cover in our courses is setting up on the same side here. So now, once I hinge back, I grab the bell, I hike pass, I hike, and now I'm already connecting to that leg. So I'm on this lane. I'm not crossing over into the middle lane. Not good. So now, once I hike pass, it connects to that hip, and then now I'm ready to rock and roll. So that's mistake number one is not taking time for your setup and setting up the same way for one-handed swings or just one-hand kettlebell movements as if you're setting up for two-handed swings, right? So you set up for two-handed swings, but then you set up the same way for snatches, cleans, anything that's going to be like single bell or even, single bell work, okay? So that's common mistake number one. Mistake number two is lifting the bell into the backswing. This is a big one. And I've been seeing it more and more. And I've seen this in many of my own students, is lifting the bell into the backswing as the bell gets heavier. So let's just say, this is a 24, let's say this is a 40 or a 48 or something like that, and I'm working on swings. What can happen is they start to lift the bell into the backswing. Let's say this is just heavy. And then they take off, right? There's kind of like this and kind of lift and kind of just really lifting the bell into the backswing. Not very efficient. So here's what you want to do. Especially if you're going to be swinging a heavy kettlebell, okay? And this is the same for two-handed swings or one-handed swings. This is the same. So what we don't want to do here is, if it's heavy, I don't want to lift the bell into my backswing. That's common mistake number two. Instead, what we want to do is we want to allow our body, and this is a general rule overall. Your body should dictate what the kettlebell does, the barbell does, etc. Your body should dictate what the weight does, not the other way around. The weight, the external load, should not dictate the position that you can get into, right? Like, man, I can only break parallel if I have a pair of 32s or if I have like 315 on my back. That's not good. You want your body to dictate what happens. And then from there, the kettlebell, the barbell will do what it needs to do to get where it needs to go, okay? So as you set up, I'm not going to focus on the weight. I'm going to focus on my body, and then my body will dictate what the bell needs to do. Plus, when I do this next little drill here, this will allow me to connect my shoulder It's going to drag the bell closer to me, decreasing the drag between the bell and my body, because the last thing we want to do is be too far away from the bell, which I cover this in the Viking Push Press Masterclass. I don't want the bell to be too far away, because if it's too far away, now you can see how opened up I am here, and I'm out of position. All right? And if I start here, there's this long drag, or like lifting the bell into my backswing. Instead, we're going to gain leverage over the kettlebell, and we're going to posteriorly shift our weight. Looks like this. So from here, you would think, I mean, I've got a good hinge, right? My shoulders are connected. You would think I'm ready to rock and roll. No. Again, always treat the kettlebell that you're using as if it were 2 or 3 times that weight. So here's how I gain leverage over it. I'm going to turn to the side here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, position the bell to that same side of my body. Hinge. Right here looks like I'm ready to go. But right before I hike pass, I'm going to shift my weight back. And you can see how it drags the bell closer to me. You see that? And it almost feels as if I'm going to fall backwards. This is a cue and a principle that I teach in our next level deadlift course as well. This gives you maximum leverage over the weight. So let me show you again. I hinge back, the bell is already positioned to that side. So right here, it looks as if I'm ready. I'm not. There needs to be a small shift here. You see that? And if I were to let the bell go, like I fall backwards. So now what happens is I don't have to lift the bell into the backswing. As I shift my weight back, the bell's already moving back towards me. See what I'm doing? And then what I do, as soon as I shift my weight back, I hike at the same time. See? So you see I'm just slightly shifting my weight. Like in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes you don't have to pull the guy. You just have to grab his gi or his lapels and just drop your weight back. So that way your arms are weaker than your whole body. So instead of trying to pull the guy to me, I grab his sleeve and I grab his collar and I just move my body back. Like none of this is actually changing. It's just my body, which is a lot stronger. So same thing here. My body is a lot heavier than that 24 kilo bell. And it's going to be more efficient, and I'm not going to have to worry about pulling the bell into my backswing. So let me show you one more time. Let me show it from this angle. Okay, so I set up, hinge. Okay, now, right here, it looks like I'm in a good position. I'm not yet. I have to lock it in by shifting my weight back. And you notice that when I shift my weight back, which I'm going to get to, that's our next common mistake, I'm not dropping my hips. Nothing is changing. Nothing is changing in my body. I'm not dropping my weight down, right? I'm just merely shifting, and then right there, boom. So you see, as I shift my weight, the bell drags back. Practice that. You'll be amazed at how much more efficient your hike pass is going to get. That's common mistake number 2. And right as I was getting to the end of that, common mistake number 2, this leads us into the third common mistake. And that is breaking your 3-point structure. So we have a 3-point structure when we're setting up. And this specific, right now we're talking about the swing, but this is a principle that will overlap into your clean setup, your snatch setup, anything that's going to require hiking the bell between your legs. So we don't want to break our 3-point structure. What is the 3-point structure? The 3-point structure is the angle of your ankles, your knees, and your hips. This is probably the most common mistake that I see. And what this does is this robs you of your power. This robs you of the strength in your hips, okay? So let's just get into it. So we're going to start to chunk a lot of these together, right? Bells lined up on the same side. I hip hinge, grab the bell. Let me turn a little bit more to the side here. I do my shift, okay? Now, here's my three-point structure. My ankles, my knees, my hips. This structure should not change during the hike pass. Very common mistake that I see. This is probably the most common of the 5 that we're going to share today. I'll show you what it looks like when you break your three-point structure. You see that? Hike, broken. Three-point structure, broken. I'm now hamstring dominant. There's not enough stretch in my glutes, and my glutes also serve to protect my back. So now I've got to power with my hamstrings only to get the bell up. And I see this a lot. For one, guys will break their three-point structure in the backswing, and then they stay there for each repetition. If they're doing swings or cleans or snatches, they stay there. So here's what I mean. Good three-point structure. As soon as they hike past, they unload the hips, breaking the structure. Now they got to use their hamstrings to power the load. Boom. Then on the way down, they stay here. See this? They stay here. They never find that position again. So, and this is why the dead stop or the power swing, the dead stop swing is so effective, is because you can practice this drill here. But even then, if you don't know how to not break your three-point structure, the dead stop swing is useless. Okay? Because I can do dead stop swings all day long and be breaking my structure. See here? What we want to do is get into, practice the drag, get into that three-point structure, stay there, and just practice the hike swing, so the hike pass. Here's what it looks like. Everything is aligned, okay? Drag. So you see how, I'm just hiking. None of this is changing. Because as soon as it does, you're going to leave strength on the table. You're not going to get that stretch that you need in your glutes to power the swing, the clean, the snatch, whatever ballistic exercise that you're working on. So that is mistake number 3. And so before you practice dead stop swings, practice that three-point structure. Because dead stop swings aren't worth a cup of you-know-what if you're breaking your structure. Broken structure. Broken structure. See? I'm just trying to maintain that movement. Then, sequentially, I think that's the word. It's a very fancy word. After I do my swing, my clean, my snatch, I need to find that position again. So, set up, boom, drag, hike, everything looks great. I swing. As I return back, don't break your structure. As soon as you swing, and the bell comes back down, you're going to try and find that exact drag position. You're going to try to find that position. This is why we got to practice our skills, okay? So that is common mistake number 3. Common mistake number 4, kind of ties into, these all stacked off each other. So as you can tell, we're breaking down the swing from the ground up, all the way from the ground, all the way up to the top of the swing. Common mistake number 4 is scooping your kettlebell swing. Siri, I don't want to talk to you right now. Keeps popping on. Scooping your swing. Very common in GS, Gear Voice Sport. GS guys, don't leave me any hate comments. I'm not knocking on it or anything like this, but it's 2 different methods of kettlebell training. Hike pass and then scooping, right? And then what happens is on the way down, you break your 3-point structure, boom, leg stretch, boom. So it's very common in GS, and some people see that and they just really don't know the rationale why they're doing that, okay? The reason why most GS athletes do it because it makes you more quad dominant. Okay, it makes you more quad dominant, preserves the glutes, preserves the hamstrings because they're trying to do 100 and something plus repetitions, max reps. So they're trying to be as efficient as possible. So that way they can do a lot of reps without putting the bell down. And your quads are going to be more efficient than your glutes, hamstrings, everything that's, everything back here, right? Your whole posterior. So we don't want hike, unload the hips, scooping, and then receiving it here, scooping. It's a very common mistake. See? We don't want that. Not for what we're talking about here, okay? Which is the hard style swing. That's common mistake number 4. Common mistake, I just spit. Real video. Common mistake number 5 is not staying connected and planking at the top of the swing. So, bang, here, structure is good. As soon as we drive, actually let me face you. As soon as we drive, bang, and then we kind of come disconnected like so. Okay, and I got a really cool drill that I take you through in the Swing Strong program, which again I'll leave details in the description on how to correct this. But here, boom, staying disconnected here. Everything's pulling over. And that can stem from not having the right setup. So here, you're already out of position because you started in the middle, hike pass, swing, and then disconnected, right? So if you're seeing me from the side here, and I'm doing a one-handed swing, from your, I hope I'm in the right position here, from your vantage point, you should not be able to see my left shoulder, okay? So if I swing, you can see my left shoulder from back behind me, right? So I want to stay squared to where you can't see this shoulder. You should be able to put a rod through this shoulder, comes out through this shoulder. But if I stay disconnected, the rod comes through that shoulder and just hits the wall, okay? So to kind of correct that, you're going to practice that setup, okay? Setup, hike pass, right? Drive, boom. And then a good cue here is the on guard position, right? So you kind of stay like as if you're boxing, on guard. This helps keep your shoulders square. That's one way. Another way is to, with the free hand, gently tap the bell. What that does is it squares your shoulders and allows you just gently tap the bell. That way your shoulders stay square. So I'll show you an example of both of those. Okay. Set up. Drag. Everything's connected. And I'm going to show you the on guard first. See, that's on guard. Boom. On guard. The next option is to just bring the hand up, touch the bell. And that will also train your hand-eye coordination for if you ever need to hand switch. You've already gotten used to your hands kind of coming up and switching off. That helps with that. Touch, 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 touch. See? So you can tap it. You go in the on guard, and we have a secret ninja way in the Swing Strong course on how to correct that as well. And it's very intuitive. It forces your body to actually self-correct. So that's all I got. 5 common mistakes you're making with the kettlebell swing. Not taking time with your setup, lifting the kettlebell into your backswing, breaking your 3-point structure, scooping your swing, and then not staying connected at the top, and planking. Boom. You want to maintain this plank, this cylinder. We don't want to have anything broken here. Okay, so bang, swinging this way, not good. Obviously, I'm not maintaining my plank, right? As soon as you drive, boom, you're planking, you're locking your hips, ankles, hips, shoulders are all stacked on top of each other. Okay, so not planking and staying connected at the top of your swing. What I want you to do is practice these 5 common mistakes and the corrections, and then leave me something in the comments and let me know which of these 5 had the biggest impact or the biggest aha moment for your kettlebell swing. All right, later. All right, man, and there you have it. 5 common mistakes you're making with the kettlebell swing. So not taking time in your setup and aligning the kettlebell to the correct side of the body. Lifting the bell into your backswing, breaking your 3-point structure, scooping during the drive to the lockout, and then at the lockout, you're not staying connected and or maintaining the plank at the top of the swing. All right. So that's all I got for you. Now, if you're looking to improve your kettlebell swing technique and even knowing exactly the type of training protocol that you would need to get in shape, get stronger, improve your endurance, so that way you can be more active in your life, we have a course called the Swing Strong course where I take you through all the ins and outs of how to master the kettlebell swing and even the get up. All right, so if you're a beginner, new to kettlebells, this is the exact kind of course that you would need to go through, and I'll leave all of that in the comments or description area below. All right, that's all I got. Hector at strongastheck.com with this new Common Mistakes series. All right, later.